Hello, fellow kind of critics. We got Ryan back today, and we're gonna do the Predator review and White Boy Rick. We're gonna start with the Predator, which I went to see, and I gotta tell you, Ryan, are you a fan of the Predator movies at all?
Yeah, I am actually. I've
Oh,
been.
really? Did you saw the original one with Schwarzenegger, right?
I won't lie. I'm a millennial. I saw the first one actually for the first time this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
But you didn't see this
No.
one. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame you. There's been a lot of flack on this. Before I decide to beat the dead horse with the joke that has already been making the internet, um, I I want Brendan, our editor, for the poster of the Predator. I want you to put Steve Wilder Strigel on the back of the on like post his face on the front of the poster instead of the Predator on the poster. He's the guy that is the sex offender that got removed from this movie. Out of all the movies, it had to be a sex offender in The Predator that had to be removed. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah, but the press had a field day with that one. That's for sure. It's a shame that that little piece of controversy ended up really hurting this movie. And because it's actually really really good. I have to say it's amazing, Ryan. The first trailer, if you really notice it, and I want Brendan, I want you to do a comparison. If you watch the first trailer for this, it is very serious and it's very like kind of weird. You have this like kid with like Tourette's who's like controlling a ship, like he's playing with a toy ship, and as that's happening, there's an actual ship crash landing onto Earth, which is like super convenient and weird. And that was the first trailer for this for a Predator movie. You would think all you'd need is a guy in an invisible with an invisible cloak machine hiding in the woods, and people would be happy with it. But no, this is from director Shane Black, who also wrote part of it as well. Shane Black was, believe it or not, he was in the first Predator movie as in the cast. I don't know if you know
I,
that.
I actually looked that up this weekend too.
Oh, really?
It's funny how I looked
Shame.
up everything about the Predator but didn't go see it.
And oh, no, that's what it really interests me too. And Shane Black, as you know, he's directed the last couple movies. What, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, The Nice Guys. So here we have a writer and director who does movies with sarcastic characters and subversive entertainment, movies that probably Hollywood doesn't really accept. And I've got to tell you, this is quite a treat. I was never bored in it. It was just frenetic action. In fact, I think the pacing for this movie is probably the only problem I had with this. Is everything was moving so fast, and I don't know if you followed it, but apparently this movie was obviously something that ended up getting the chop, the good old editing before it gets released in theaters, and a lot of scenes were cut. Besides the scene with Steve Wilder Strigel, I heard they changed major scenes. They revised a couple of scenes to reference the other movies, because what Shane Black didn't want to do is reference the older movies, because it didn't make sense to him. And it's kind of that creative, artistic thing where the movie was supposed to be longer, but it was definitely shorter because of how much was already packed into this movie. And let me tell you, it's just a roller coaster ride of like, it's like a shotgun blast of six different ideas for a Predator movie. Just when you think all they needed was a couple of predators hunting down a bunch of people, there's nothing to this thing, and yet it did more than what it wanted to do. And the last thing I gotta say is this really is a Keegan Michael Key movie. If you thought he couldn't act in a movie, if you thought he could just be in a couple of skits every once in a while, this is definitely going to be a treat, because he's actually not only really funny, but he plays a pretty compelling character. I don't want to spoil too much about this movie. I feel like the trailer did enough for that, especially the second one, because it kind of showed the more off-brand humor. This is definitely not a sci-fi epic. It's more of a sci-fi horror comedy. you know, and it's a shame that that wasn't clear in the marketing, especially, and I'm sure it's gonna disappoint a lot of fans. But to me, this was a Predator movie that we probably needed. You know, Predator is just so basic and simple that I feel like this movie didn't complicate things, but it made things really fresh and different. And that's something that's hard to say considering what happened to Alien Covenant. I mean, well, you can only do so much with Alien. Keep a bunch of trapped people, and of course that one just the only difference was that you brought Danny McBride into the group. So I like this one. I'm giving this a 5 out of 6.
Wow.
It's just, plenty of action, plenty of laughs. Especially if you like Shane Black's kind of writing. Unfortunately, it was the script and the pacing and the story structure was marred by heavy reshoots, and I hope that there's a director's cut for this because I really do hope that there's more to this movie than what I saw, because I thought this was not only entertaining but funny, and I couldn't get enough of it. I was just laughing my ass off. Once again, Shane Black knows what a rated R movie is, and he knows how to really hit up with the gore, even if there's children in it. It's crazy. All right. So, you want to start talking about White Boy Rick, Ryan?
Oh, jeez. This movie.
Oh, yeah.
I actually just seen.
You saw it
Yeah.
twice? Oh, man. Well, you got to tell me why.
It was good. It was very compelling. I won't lie.
It's kind of those movies where I guess a lot of people forget that biopics are supposed to be, about a person, not just about major events. I think the thing that they could have done with this movie is they could have really, really brought up how, like, this is such a 70s movie, this is such a different, like, historical point. No, this is just about a kid who is at the age of 14 working for the federal government and working for a major drug lord in eastern Detroit, and I think it all revolves around him in a way that it just works, while also keeping like a pace of it's really hitting those jokes, especially in the beginning, while also being just as dark and disturbing as a lot of these crime drama.
I'm a huge fan of biopics, and I'm just calling it right now. This is definitely the best biopic of 2018. Uh, and I'm just gonna go ahead with my rating right now and give this a whole 6 stars.
But the real best parts of these of the performances is mostly with Matthew McConaughey and Richie Merritt, father and son. I thought that was really the heart of the film, and it's a shame that there wasn't more of that in this film, because it kind of it goes from like it has I feel like this was two different movies crammed together. It was the first part of the movie is him busting these drug lords and kingpins, and this isn't spoilers because this is real life. This was based in real life, you could look this stuff up. This was one hell of an adaptation for a biopic. They obviously showed he was the product of his own environment. He had a terrible upbringing, and he was just tired of not having the money he had. I could understand that. What I didn't like is how at least in Denzel Washington, what was that crime movie, was it American Gangster? Yeah, at least they showed like scenes where that you could see that the people that are using his drugs are OD'd and died. I could understand that. This movie, it didn't have any of that. I feel like it just wanted to show his perspective of it. So I could see why maybe critics were a bit jaded, because they were just like, oh, we're supposed to be supporting this drug dealer, But to me, I feel like they did a good job with that. They gave me his perspective. I'll give this a 5 out of 6. It was good for what it is. I liked it a lot. It's just I wish if they polished this movie a bit, if they cut down, if they trimmed the fat, if they focused more on the actual family, rather than, well, then maybe I would have probably enjoyed it a little bit more. But yeah, 5 out of 6.